3, 2, 1. Today's podcast is presented by PODGO. PODGO is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from PODGO. We recently joined as a member and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. Don't forget to add the 2-on-1 podcast in the How Did You Hear About PODGO section of your application. Now get ready for the rest of the episode.
Guys, we're back.
We're back.
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah. Why are we holding things?
I don't know. I was holding a coat hanger because I'm stressed, and then you grabbed something.
That's okay. It's page 1. I hope they're still okay at Ryerson right now.
Sure.
Great coffee shop.
Man,
Where's
guys,
that?
Yeah.
It's near. It's like behind the metro. No, he's never gone there.
I haven't. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like a small place. Nice people.
I've never been there, but I know of it.
Yeah.
Small place, good people, good service. Guys, we're here to talk about hockey. Of course we are. I'm looking at the Google Doc. Alex is there, and there is an anonymous jackal.
Probably Daniel.
Daniel, what are you doing?
Or Harmon Dial. I don't know.
No, it doesn't.
Dial jackal? That doesn't rhyme like I thought.
No.
Guys, I think, if you're looking
Mike
at...
the Jackal.
No, Mike the Jackal. If you're looking at the video version of the show on YouTube, which everyone should check out, I think I look very tired because, the Italian... It's 11:12 a.m., but we just... the Italian Grand Prix just finished.
Yeah.
Pierre. Pierre! Gasly
Okay,
won.
wait. Just, okay, yell, in 3, 2, 1.
Pierre! Let's go! He's French and I love him. Man, what a story for Pierre. What a rough year. He finally gets a chance at Red Bull. They throw him to the side even though their car's kind of crap and it takes a generational talent to get it going like Verstappen. We talked about last week, his friend Antoine passed away during that freak accident in Spa last year. He gets burglarized. He gets sent back to Toro Rosso. Does have that incredible second place at Brazil last year. Comes back this year. He's easily one of the best drivers on the grid. And then today, because of a red flag from a Leclerc crash, his best friend causing this red flag, Pierre gets the chance, gets the lead, holds off Carlos Sainz, and he wins. And after the race, everyone's congratulating him. Romain Grosjean is there. Leclerc comes wearing his jeans because he's upset they just lost. Move over, Ferrari. Move over. The Tifosi are all about AlphaTauri. Let's go, Pierre.
I don't even think they have a Ferrari engine.
No, they
That's
must have a
Ferrari shell.
Honda.
Only.
They have a Honda.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Honda. That's why we love them.
Yeah. Honda.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, Alex Albon. I'm just pointing this out there. Alex Albon has been given plenty of chances, if not more.
You're just playing the consistency game.
Then Pierre consistently not good. Is that the consistency game we're playing?
It's the consistency. It's like the early Nathan McKinnon years, and then he just breaks out.
Yeah, but at least Nathan McKinnon was good.
He had 38
every
points
week
that one year.
Every week there's a different issue.
Listen, I like Albon. I do. But I love Pierre Gasly. Also, the McLaren, a great weekend. Carlos Sainz second place on that podium.
Second and fourth.
Always like the guy. Ever since he got groceries as a McLaren, I'm sold on this guy.
He didn't know where the boot of his car was. I love that. And of course, on third on the podium, the French-Canadian Lance Stroll. Let's go.
We talk about him a lot.
Yeah, we do. And then Lewis was dead. We don't care about it. Lewis was complaining to the stewards, even though he had a race.
It wasn't his day.
No, it wasn't. And
I think he finished 8th.
Something like that. We could use less Lewis Hamilton top finishes, to be honest, to make this year more interesting. It is.
He finished 7th.
He finished 7th?
Yeah.
They projected he could come back and get 6th. So
Daniel Ricciardo got
Big Dick Rick held him off. You love to see it, the Aussie. All right, let's get into the hockey now. We're on such a high, guys. Oh, my God. Okay, so we're hoping to show with this. Last night, Well, we're going to start with the sort of headline. We're not going to have a power hour. We're going to have the, okay, let's talk about everything that Johnston and Friedman brought up on headlines.
Yeah.
So the headline hour. That doesn't work. The headline lineup.
No, yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Line hours.
Sure. Good enough.
Chris Johnson started saying this piece of news with a smile, and then he put it away. So, NBC analyst and former head coach of the Hartford Whalers, Daniel? I'm getting that right? Or was
Jim
he
McGuire?
Yeah.
Yes, like only for a little bit. Apparently he had like a problem with Pat Verbeek.
But still.
Of course
Yes,
he did.
still. Yeah.
Former of the Hartford Whalers and longtime analyst for NBC, Pierre McGuire, has apparently been interviewed twice for the Arizona GM job.
We can't forget he was also World Junior commentator, Pierre McGuire.
Sure. And he ruined one of the best moments in Canadian hockey, like junior hockey history.
I love the comments on that video. It's like, it was a rhetorical question, Pierre.
Yeah. It's like, so for those of you who don't know, what year was it, Daniel?
That was 2009, because that was last year they won before like they weren't winning anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that was the year where Jordan Eberle, after a great play from John Tavares, ties the game up against the Russians in the dying seconds of the third period. Now, if you've ever watched hockey, you know that in big situations like an overtime winning or a massive tying goal, like the golden goal from Chris Cuthbert, it's like Sidney Crosby, the golden goal, and then you just let the energy of the crowd take it away. So Gord Miller has the call, and Eberle ties it up, and it's like, Jordan Eberle, can you believe it? And the crowd is going nuts. And the moment Gord is done talking, Pierre just goes, yes, I can, because Kalikin iced the puck. And he starts breaking down the play, which the color guy is not supposed to do until everything has been sorted out and laid low. But Alex, we're going to get back to the fact that Pierre McGuire, who we've talked about, you've mentioned this before, has been in talks for jobs before, but a second interview for the Coyotes, and I thought they wanted to get the right guy.
The league's a joke. The league's clearly a joke.
Indeed.
I don't understand how you willingly interview Peter Chiarelli. I don't know how you willingly have Peter Chiarelli as a finalist. And I don't know how you willingly interview Pierre McGuire twice. I mean, Arizona's already a dumpster. It's already a dumpster. Like, you're just making it worse. Peter Chiarelli, I don't even know how to describe what he did to Edmonton, because what he did was so bad. He wasted so many years of Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Daniel, your thoughts on this wild development?
I think for me, Pierre's a known commodity in the hockey circles, that you go from one extreme to the other. So you go with the John Chaika, the young advanced stats type of guy, and they try to do something new and go like, this is what Arizona wants to do. And then suddenly when it doesn't work out, it's kind of like they need a cleaner in a way. They're like, we need to get, quote unquote, a hockey mind that we all know and respect and try to fix things there. So that's the way I'm seeing, like, on paper,
wait.
not in reality.
Wait a second. What? Who respects Pierre McGuire as in like management? Sorry, there's people who love him as a color guy, and you know what? That's fine, whatever. Who enjoys this man as their coach or as their general manager?
Wasn't he notoriously hated in Hartford?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just said he had an issue with Verbeek, who was their captain, I'm assuming, at the time?
Yeah. Apparently, this is an alleged thing. Like, I don't know if it's confirmed, but apparently when Pierre McGuire got fired for that team, Pat Verbeek's like, that's the best thing that happened to Hartford.
Oh, and what's the story Nick Kyprios told of they were down like 4-0 versus the Montreal Canadiens one point when he was in Hartford, and Pierre went to them in the intermission. He's like, if we score a goal every 5 minutes, we're fine here. And then he scored like 2 minutes in, and Pierre was like, we're ahead of schedule, boys.
Yeah. See if I can find it.
You could like I don't know, you could just like
Joke.
you could just see him and hear him saying something like that.
Yeah, you could. Oh, Pierre. There is that legendary article that just goes like through everything about him in Hartford. I don't know who wrote, like at the top of my head, I don't remember who wrote it, but that's something that we should definitely look for.
So apparently he was in the running for the GM job in Pittsburgh 6 years ago.
Wow.
Really?
Well, he loves Sidney Crosby.
He wanted a 5-year contract. Listen. So who would have been their GM in 2014?
Was that Ray Shero?
It might have been the end of Ray Shero. Was that? So apparently he wanted a 5-year contract. The only reason they didn't hire him was because they didn't want to go more than 3 years.
Yeah, Shiro left in 2014 from Pittsburgh.
I remember because that was the James Neal to Nashville trade. I remember that was Jim Rutherford's first move.
Imagine what he would have done to that team.
I don't know, man.
Back-to-back cups? Absolutely not.
I don't know. I don't think he would be as aggressive as Jim Rutherford. Like,
No.
I know that it's a winning formula. It's just sometimes I'm still shocked by his moves in a way, like or the frequency.
Listen, we will. Rutherford's exciting. Say what you want. The guy goes out and tries to win and improve his team. It's just sometimes you need to choose a different hill to die on, like hating Justin Schultz and loving Jack Johnson. Though we will move on to something that's probably, I'd say, a bit more crazy. I'd say, well, not really crazy, but it's just there's nothing quite like the roller coaster that is Mike Babcock. So we've already heard names like Laviolette tied to the Capitals for their head coach search. Apparently this week, again from headlines, Gerard Gallant has been interviewed for that job.
Yeah.
That'd be my front runner. And apparently, so is Mike Babcock.
Bring back the Bab Sox.
I don't know.
They'd be red.
I know they'd be red now. We can't use the Leafs one anymore.
I don't think he'd be terrible. See, this is what's really, I was thinking about this. It wouldn't be the worst hire, though. I'm thinking about like they would have to pick up his or a percentage of his salary, and I'm thinking, man, so you're gonna give that salary to Babs, but you couldn't work it out with Trotz, who is now going to the conference finals.
Oh, it looks awful.
Mm-hmm.
It looks devastatingly awful that you didn't give that money to Barry Trotz. Now, Adam, should we bring up that tweet I sent you last night? Because I think considering that tweet and what Mike Babcock could do, like I don't necessarily agree with everything Mike Babcock did. Right, the Mitch Marner thing I think crossed the line, but I think he can give a team a kick in the ass.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let's read. Let me read. This is from Michael Russo because everyone like that guy in Minnesota. This is like the Elliot Friedman of Minnesota.
Yeah, probably like the best beat reporter in the world right now for hockey, at least.
Yeah. So he was on the Russo Hockey Show. I think that's part of the Athletic. Well, I mean, the stories from inside the bubble about the Caps basically turning it into a vacation, having pool parties and things like that. You pretty much knew that they had no interest in being there.
That's amazing.
That's funny. That kind of proves the point I was gonna say that. You know, when they got rid of Barry Trotz, they went back to that kind of free-flowing kind of offense.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, like let the guy skate, Ovechkin create the space he wants. And I agree that I think they need someone there now to kind of reel them back in to what, Alex says about what Mike Babcock can do, like the kind of figure he is. It'll give them more stability. Definitely not something that I don't think their offensive guys are going to probably take to right away. I remember that also happened with Adam Oates when he was there, and Mark Hunter, and not Mark Hunter, Trent Hunter.
Isn't it Dale Hunter?
No, Dale Hunter. Sorry, too many Hunters. And yeah, I think that could be like this. Yeah, there could be the same pattern going on right now, and it worked with Barry Trotz there. Like they won it.
Do you think it's the actual hockey itself? Because I don't necessarily think I watched the Washington Capitals and said that's the down, like that would be the downfall of the Washington Capitals. Right? Like I didn't see an issue with how they played. Like I think Ovechkin was like Ovechkin. Like I think the way Todd Reirden coached them seemed to work for the Washington Capitals until the playoffs, apparently. But off the ice, when you hear something like that, and I think, okay, would Barry Trotz let that happen? I'd have to think no.
No, yeah.
Just my first thought. I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree with that. And you look at the names that they're throwing in there for who's the coach. I don't think Peter Laviolette would let that happen. I don't think Gerard Gallant would let that happen. And I most definitely don't think Mike Babcock would let that happen. And I think I'm not surprised something like this came out because the GM, as soon as Todd Reirden was fired, the GM said, we're going to go back. We're going to bring in a veteran coach. And now that that's come out, it all connects. Like it connects the dots to me. I don't know about you guys.
I would hope that any self-respecting coach would kind of reel in his players. And I think that's also the fault of the GM to kind of set like guys. I completely understand that being in the bubble probably sucks. Listen, I hate to bring it up again, but I'm getting my jaw surgery on Friday, and like I'm supposed to be in the hospital for I think it's like 2 days, and I can't have anyone come to visit me, right?
Sorry, man, we can't.
Like that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it's like for these guys. That, like, we're gonna get some news about family members in the bubble in a second here, but like. I get being in the bubble blows, and like probably the best thing they're able to do is go to BMO Field and play frisbee. But I mean, remember the trouble that, and this is funny about Laviolette. I can't remember if he was the coach at the time, but Nashville when it was like Radulov and Kostitsin got in trouble for partying the night before the game. I mean, like. I love Ovi. I love Kovalchuk. I love all those guys. Kuznetsov looks especially bad in this too. Because, you know, what happened earlier in the year with it.
Alleged instances, yeah.
It was video proof.
The league suspended him. I think it's past alleged.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's just it's shocking. I laughed at it because it's just so shocking to see. But I really do hope the Caps, and it's terrible to say this when Ovechkin's like nearly mid-30s. You really hope they kind of learn from that and like take it a bit seriously because, again, this is the playoffs. People fight. You know, I look at some of the faces of the guys who lost, like Nathan McKinnon when the Avalanche got eliminated. The look on his face was like dagger twist. You can tell it hurt.
Thatcher Demko.
Yeah.
That guy looked devastated.
Mm-hmm.
And he played 2 games.
Do you think the Capitals got complacent? Like they're like, we've won before. We could do this again, and they didn't have that hunger.
Who are the Islanders? You think maybe that happened when they faced the Carolina Hurricanes as well? They got their cup. They're fat and happy. OV scoring 50 goals still. Maybe Mike Babcock is the answer.
Maybe Ovechkin's not the leader we thought.
No. That's a fair point.
Hey, like you can't I think Daniel makes a really good point. You can't let that happen. If you're the captain of this team, like if you want to win a cup, listen, Ovechkin he has a personality and he has a very big voice on that team. If he doesn't want that to happen, that won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a Stanley Cup hangover for 2 years.
Especially after the way they celebrated that first win. I want to see, I'm excited to watch actually the Alex to OV series once it's all good because, man, there's a fascinating player in Alexander Ovechkin. Love a guy. Scores. Funny guy. Throw some big hits. And big hits are always a fun thing to look at, except when you catch someone in the head like Ryan Reaves did. In Game 7 versus the Canucks, he caught Tyler Mott. Sorry, it's Taylor. Yeah, it is Tyler Mott.
Tyler.
And it resulted in him getting a 1-game suspension. He did get thrown out that game. Vancouver got a 5-minute power play. He didn't do anything with it and would lose that game. But Ryan Reaves, 1-game suspension. What do we think of that result? We'll start with you, Alex, because I know that Alex and I always like talking about player safety, even though I don't think it's going to be a very loud discussion. But
I don't necessarily have an issue with it because I know how they factor playoff games, and I know Burke's talked about before. It's three or four regular season games is one playoff game. So I guess I'm okay with it. I know there's been lots of discussion on it. Listen, man, like you can't move the goalposts, and you can't have the best of both worlds. That's just not possible. If it's a hit in the head, it's a hit, or if it's a hit to the head, it's a hit to the head. Do you want hits to the head in hockey? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, then this is a suspendable hit. Or if your answer is no, sorry, I screwed myself up there. If your answer is no, then that's a suspendable hit. I don't care if I played the game or not. At this point, it's science.
Daniel.
Two things. So on the serious note, yeah, it was a greasy hit. Right to the head. I love Tyler Mott, solid NCAA guy back when he was with the Blackhawks. And yeah, it's an expected thing from Ryan Reaves for something like this to happen, especially in the heat of the game in a elimination game. And I don't know, the one game for what transpired, I think I agree with it. I think they got the call right on this one. Second, and this is just remind me of something, when Alex said best of both worlds, it reminded me of Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I'm happy that I'm not the only person that thought that. But yeah, on the serious note, I think they got the call right.
If we play best of both worlds, are we going to get a copyright strike?
Probably,
yeah.
I think Miley Cyrus cares about Hannah Montana anymore.
Well, it's YouTube, okay? I can't do anything.
It's true. Anyway, you know what? I think I'm fine with one game because I don't think there was any sort of, intent to it. It's just the lineup was really bad on it. And because you could see that I think it was Stastny was already kind of tying up with Mott. So it was rough. And the way Friedman put it on the intermission right afterwards was because he always very much goes by the rule book of it. And he said, I've wasted a lot of time watching the videos of the release of player safety with their explanations. Is was the hit avoidable? Yeah, it was. I think that's the big thing there. It was really weird that happened. I think it was the end of the second. And Ryan Reaves stayed in his gear for the rest of the game, which I thought was really weird. But, I mean, what's your call, buddy? The Tiger. Yeah, great, absolute fantastic, contribution to the game Ryan Reaves makes, but for the other team. God damn it. I can't wait for them to win, and then, everyone tries to get Ryan Reaves, and we all take a few years back in the progression of the game, though. We talked about it a little earlier, but there's been no confirmation in regards to families being able to come into the bubble for the conference finals. And I think Game 1 will be in Toronto for the Eastern Conference. No, they said no on that?
No, they're both flying to Edmonton today.
Okay.
Or Tampa got there yesterday, and New York is today.
No, there was just word of it because they said if something got delayed.
It depended on if New York won, because remember there were all the series were there was 3 series that were at 3-1.
Yes.
And then they all got extended to 7. So the worry was if one of those teams wins, if the Islanders won in 5. Then what would you do? Because you still have all those teams in Edmonton. Then they would play in Toronto for a game and then fly to Edmonton.
God damn it! I hate this league. But there's nothing set in stone for families because the issue is, they're all American teams in the finals. Yeah. So I think Chris Johnson said the only sort of thing they know for sure is if you have family around in Edmonton, it'd be easier. I imagine Ryan Reaves, I believe he has family in Winnipeg, so I imagine it wouldn't be difficult to get them. But everyone else, you're going to have to bring them from Dallas, Vegas,
Yeah.
Tampa and Florida.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a lot different from the NBA approach to things, because at first I was looking at that as the model of how would they be able to bring some family into the bubble. But yeah, like I was reading that too about how, you factor in the Canadian
The
angle to this.
15 Canadian families
Yeah.
that they have to bring in. Well,
Yeah. So
like it's an interesting debate whether they should allow it or not, simply because I think there's a lot of, like, you look at what Nick Nurse said. I don't know if you guys saw what Nick Nurse said, because there was the Denver Nuggets head coach had come out and said was complaining about the NBA's policy on coaches bringing their family in, because the only families at that point that were allowed were players. And Nick Nurse is like, even if coaches' families were allowed, I wouldn't bring my family in. Like, I don't think that's the environment I want for my kids.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this time of year is for mainly basketball and hockey fans, this is the off season.
Yeah.
So it's when they would plan their wedding. It's when they normally plan to have when their kids are expected.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a lot of like Jeff Petrie, I think, has 3 young kids. Do you really want to put if the Habs and sorry I don't know the situation of the family of every single player in the NHL. So I'm just
come on, Adam. How do you not know the situation of over how many players?
We got to find those notes next
700
episode.
players. How do you not know?
Like, I think, okay, we'll say no because the Flyers got eliminated. Yeah, I don't.
That's a funny thing. Like, it might be something later on. People like, hey, are you a real fan of this guy, or how many kids does he have?
Yeah,
come on.
It's weird.
When are they expecting their 4th?
Let me make this very clear. I don't look it up. I just see the Habs put videos of the Petrie family,
I know.
kids celebrating a Panthers going for them. That's what I know.
Okay.
But you have to imagine if you are like that and you have young children and your poor wife, do you want to stick your poor partner with young children in a hotel bubble situation for let's say it's 2 weeks for the conference finals, 2 weeks for the cup? You really want to do nearly a month of your poor family just being stuck there? No. Your kids are going to hate it. Your wife's going to probably hate you by the end of it.
I think the thing right now, I believe, is that they need to discuss with the Canadian government, like the federal government. That is my understanding.
Daniel, you're taking all this.
Just leave it as it is. I think even when the NBA was able to do it really well, I was still kind of on the fence about that. I think the way things are, the uncertainty of the border and, really the uncertainty of everything else with the cases, I think, you have a good thing going. Just don't tinker it. Just, finish the playoffs.
That's true. Before we go, I found this picture, and it's after the podium celebration, and it's just Pierre.
I saw.
Reflecting.
Yeah.
That's not where they're lazy.
Contemplative guy. I like him.
I love him so much. Oh, my God. Suck it, Red Bull. Suck it.
Oh, no.
Guys, Max Domi has not asked for a trade. Now, I wasn't asking this question, but it was made very clear on headlines that he did not ask for a trade. Now, there's 2 sides of this. First of all, when you play in Montreal, not only do you have a chance to play for the Habs, you get to live in Montreal. It's a really bitch. I swore.
That's okay. Just
okay?
keep going. Just keep going.
Keep going. All right. You get the chance to live in Montreal. It's a great city in that. So off the base of this, he's had his best parts of his career in Montreal. I completely understand why he wouldn't ask for a trade. But let's be 100% honest here. He's not going to demand it publicly.
Yeah.
The future of Domi has already been set in stone by the fact that Deneau's already complaining about his role. The 2 young centermen are there. Domi, when he did get to play center, was in the bottom 6 role mainly in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Claude Julien said we see him as a centerman. And the fact that the point was made to say that he has not asked for a trade on Hockey Night in Canada says something.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Yeah.
reports don't come out for nothing. And like
I know.
Ferris knew exactly what he was doing, which is the games have already started. Like, if you're not like if you aren't familiar with like player negotiations and that, I'm sure you're thinking I'm insane. But like it started. It started with Domi. He's so gone. The writing's on the wall, guys.
See,
I think so too.
That's the thing, though. The writing's already on the wall. So what's the advantage of him? I don't see where the advantage comes for Ferris when he says, I'm not asking for a trade, whereas I'm not versus I'm not asking. Like, I'm asking for a trade versus I'm not asking for a trade. I don't see where the advantage comes. If anything, everyone knows. Like, let's not be crazy here. We all know Max Domi is being traded. Even if he didn't have Darren Ferris, it just doesn't seem like he's fitting the Montreal Canadiens' plans.
Mm-hmm.
It literally took Claude Julien not being the coach for him to get into the top 6.
Well, no, Anglos have reported that those lineup changes were already in Julien. Like, they were.
Okay.
Julien and that worked very much together.
Okay, either way, but
he wasn't even a centerman when it came.
But we know that Domi's being traded either way.
Yes.
I think
Ferris or not Ferris or Pat Brisson, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I don't see where the advantage comes in saying I didn't ask for a trade versus I asked for a trade.
I think it's just, they're just trying to have good business in a way. I know that we already kind of know that he's going to get traded, but I don't know, just try to have an edge in negotiations with things. I know that, he's a good player. He may be wanted from other teams, but it's just, try to keep things cordial in a way.
Yeah.
Because I don't see him in the future plans. We've talked about this before where I don't, when the Habs, inevitably gonna rise again, I think that he just doesn't fit in that lineup anymore. And maybe it's just an asset management thing. Like, this has happened before. I remember when Scott Boras, who's basically the Darren Ferris of the MLB, came out and said, Bryce Harper's interested in staying with the Washington Nationals, up until the end. And then he just maximized his value by going to the Phillies when he just waited in the offseason. And I think this is the same strategic thing. The guy's good as gone. But, there's still that glimpse of hope that they hold on to him. So they kind of keep things, in the best interest for the player, but not for the team, I think.
I genuinely think that Max Domi wants to be a Hab. It's just he doesn't have a spot anymore. And what I can see it is when this trade does happen, if it does, fine, I'll say if, even though it's going to happen, you can see the tweets now. Max didn't want to leave. The Habs traded Max Domi. He didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
I can see the headlines already. And I mean, of course there was interest. I was listening to the Support Athletic, sorry, it goes in French anyway. And Marc-Antoine Godin and Arpan Basu were saying there is interest in Domi. People see the guy as a second line center. They see the production he had for that 28-goal year. There are going to be suitors for a guy like Max Domi. Minnesota need a center like nobody's business with the loss of Mika Koivu. I see the plays and it's getting just so frustrating. It's the floodgates are starting, guys. The floodgates have opened. And just get him out of here before things turn too ugly, please. I love you, Max, though. I don't see it happening. Anything else we want to say on this front, or shall we move on?
Maybe if he was a long-term left winger, then maybe something could have happened.
Nah, but even at that, there's so many, we've talked about it. Montreal has forward prospects.
If he was a right winger, I'd say maybe a different story. But I mean, yeah, I'm thinking of wingers right off the top. I'm like, man, Jesse Ylonin's probably expected to be in the Habs lineup sooner rather than later. I mean, who knows what happens with Tomas Tatar, but you got guys like Lehkonen and that. I mean, the guy's just lost it, unfortunately. He's lost the spot. And he's better than a fourth-line center and the third-line center. He is. It's just the guy, he's lost his spot again. Well, guys, we do know this, though. We don't know where Domi's going to go. We don't know what's going to happen next in this Darren Ferentz sort of story here. But I guess we should ask about what's next for a certain group of teams. We're going to talk a bit about the Bruins, Torrey Krug, Dino Chara, all that sort of stuff. But I want to ask you now, we'll take a quick look at all the other teams that did not qualify for the conference finals. We'll start with Philly. I mean, they are getting older, are the Flyers. They do have a goalie. They have a very good goalie who's very young, which is always fortunate. Kevin Hayes, I think even if he's like 40, 50-point guy in the regular season, was arguably their best forward in that series or in the playoffs, really. I mean, what do we think is next for Philly? I'll start with you, Daniel.
I think that it has to be minor tinkering right now. They don't have the cap space, and they don't really have anyone except Justin Braun coming off the Bucks this year. Mm-hmm. So, we're not going to see a move like, the Kevin Hayes signing this time, but they got to do something about that aging core, make the most out of, the rise of Carter Hart, I think. The defense, I think it's still pretty solid. Like Sean Gottisfair, for whatever you say about him, I think he could bounce back. They have solid depth guys. Like I really like Robert Haig, Travis Sanheim, and Sanheim, sorry, and Philip Myers. Not only are these solid Rule Junior guys, but they're guys that could elevate the team. Like defensively, they were okay. They had the big guys like Provorov doing what he can, but to make that solid, they could keep going. But in terms of their forwards, it's the same story. You have these guys who are being paid a lot. You need them to perform when it matters.
Closure, ladies and gentlemen. Alex.
I don't think there's major things that are going to happen. Like I think the biggest thing that happens to this team is probably that Shane Gostisbehere is traded. And I know he's another guy that everyone talks about being on the block. Like he's like Rasmus Ristolainen. This guy's been on the block.
Yeah.
For how many years? But I do think that they might have to free up some cap space. Like right now they have $8.9 million in cap space. They have to re-sign Nolan Patrick. They have to re-sign Robert Haig and Philip Myers. And then there's a couple guys like Grant, Pitlick, and Thompson are your three RFAs. Are your three UFAs on forward? Like, are you bringing every single one of them back? Probably not.
No.
Like, I think there's guys in the minors who maybe next year could potentially fill some spots, but I do think they look at maybe bringing in some more scoring. It's just because the issue is do you make a decision based off of the playoffs, or do you make a decision looking at the entire year as a whole? Because as soon as the round robin ended, it just seemed like half the team disappeared, and they had a really good regular season. So are you going to use the round one and round two of the playoffs as your basis to make major changes to the team? I don't know if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So if anything, I think like Daniel said, there's going to be minor tweaks. I don't think there's going to be anything that major.
Yeah, and good point about the forwards. Like I forgot about like German Rubsoff and Morgan Frost. These are guys that could probably step in soon and make something.
Absolutely.
Man, their buyout history is weird.
Yeah.
You got Andrew McDonald, Schlemko still there, Ilya Brizgalov at $0.
Ilya Brizgalov.
I'm going to ask each of you about one player, and you tell me what happens to them. Alex, what happens with Brian Elliott? Solid backup goalie. He's 35 now, and he's a UFA. $2 million he makes.
I do think they definitely look at re-signing him. I do like the goalie market this year is so deep. Mm-hmm. Like it's probably the deepest in many, many years. And I think there's many goalies who they can bring in as a backup. Is a matter of, do they trust Brian Elliott? Like, I don't necessarily think his regular season was the greatest.
No.
Then what do you do at that point? Like, I think over the last few years, it's kind of been okay, Like I think he's been in the last 2 years he's been in Philadelphia have been good for a backup, but I do think you might want to revisit that position.
Daniel, we talked a bit about this guy last episode. James Van Riemsdyk. What goes on there?
I still love the guy, but that's a lot of term for a player that he's already in his 30s.
Mhm.
I think he still plays the game pretty well. Every time I know it's hard to gauge because sometimes he shows a lot more skill than that power forward type of guy that he was advertised to become. But I think he's still a really sought after commodity on a lot of teams. Like he could play that top six. The cap hit right now is not too bad.
What?
For maybe the next year or two, but once you get into 2021, 22, that's when it becomes an issue. I know he has 4 more years left, but yeah, I don't know. I think if Philly decides that it's time to kind of move on from that experiment, I think they have to really retain salary, and I think it's going to be maybe in the 30 or the 40%, or even the 50%.
A buyout doesn't look terrible. It's 2.7 for the first 2 years. Year 3 would be 4.7, then 1.7 after that. But hey, there's options to do there. Next team.
Plus, they have to pay Sean Couturier. He's still on that 4.33. Yeah,
and Carter Hart. Sean Couturier is a worry, but I'm more worried about paying Carter Hart.
Oh, I put them level because it's a starting goalie and your number one center. That is
absolutely, but Carter Hart. Think about the raise that Carter Hart is going to get.
Yeah, he's going to make a lot of money. Is Couturier thing out next year? How much longer do he have in his deal?
He has 2 years after this year.
Oh, that's such a good contract.
I have this feeling that Carter Hart, the market for Carter Hart is going to be set this summer because the goalie market is so deep. He's gonna look at what Leonard makes. He's gonna, unless he can prove he deserves. I don't think he makes an Andre Vasilevsky type money. I don't think that's just the case.
No, I agree with that.
If anything, it's smarter for him to take a bridge deal than it is to take a long-term deal.
I still I love the guy, but I still think he's still in a prove me stage.
Really?
Yeah. You never know a goalie because remember what happened with Steve Mason,
remember what happened with Rick DiPietro?
Yeah, or Steve, these guys that they had the good runs and then things just kind of just dried up once you got the extensions.
All right, we have a few more teams to talk about, so we'll move on from Philly. All right, let's just have this. Let's ask this question now. Markstrom or Demko?
Oh,
Mikey DiPietro.
Oh,
it is amazing that, first of all, can we agree that the Canucks had no right being in the second round?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, my dear God, did they just get manhandled.
And those shots in Game 7.
Man,
yeah.
They had 8 shots at one point in the third after 2 periods and a 5-minute major. I mean, come on. No excuses there.
Yeah. No, that was Vegas's defensive game was incredible.
Mark Stone for Selke? Question mark.
Oh, he was so good.
I don't understand how he's not a finalist.
My God, that man was on a mission. Go on.
No, I just don't see how he's not a finalist for the Selke. That guy is incredible. Incredible.
We've talked about the cap situation of the Canucks a ton, though. And I don't know if you take the risk on. Of course, Demko's had the potential. Everyone's talked about this guy for years and years and years. No, I just wonder. You got to be careful with Markstrom because he is 30, and that's such a rough time for goalies. I just wonder what you do now, because their cap situation is still a freaking mess. Or their defense. Let's be honest, they're gonna lose. I would say at least 2 guys here. They love to Foley. I mean, the only way they could possibly make this work is, and I'm not saying this is what you do. But there was that rumor about Brock Besser going.
Yeah, don't do
No,
that.
no.
Yes, please do that.
Don't trade Brock Besser.
For Max Domi, a second.
Stop.
We'll do that. So what do you guys think is the number one priority for these Canucks, and why is it figuring out goaltending? Because go ahead, Jano. Because I don't think it's as simple as just like you either sign Markstrom. I mean, like it's such a freaking mess.
Okay, for me, what I kind of think is we talked about it before that the Canucks looked like they didn't deserve to, or they had no right being in the second round. And the way I see it is that they have a lot of young guys that they still need to re-sign. And I think you go with the younger, cheaper option. I don't think they re-sign Jakob Markstrom because I think he's at a point where, he realizes he's 30. He knows he could be an all-star. And I don't think he's going to just settle for like a 3-year deal. He wants like the one last big contract of his career. And I don't think the Canucks could afford to give him that.
Yeah.
And I think
exactly
there's room for improvement too. Like if Thatcher Demko proves that he could play like, 50, 60 games a season, that's okay. You still have movement with the cap to try to fix that.
I'm looking at some of their cap hits to try and like screw something together here. And I mean, it's just like the capper captures is obviously just such a mess. They still have another year after this at the Ryan Spooner buyout. I didn't even know there was a Ryan Spooner buyout on this.
Yeah.
You still got Sven Barchi for some reason who you just seem to hate, and you can't get rid of. You like Josh Levo, but he's probably gone because otherwise you're literally scrapping. You're counting your pennies here to put it all together.
Oh, 1.2 baseline cap friendly that if they sign Demko instead of giving Markstrom that huge contract, you could really wait out the Jay Beagle, Anton Roussel, Louis Eriksson contracts that just expire.
Yeah. So the funny thing about this is we're gonna have the same question next season. Thatcher Demko is an RFA at the end of next year.
Yes.
And he's making $1 million or $1 million 50,000.
I think there's more like without the fact that he's an RFA, there's going to be more leeway with that. Like, Mark, he has that, give me the money now in the term or I'm gone.
Like I look at this team and I think there's one guy, or I think there's two guys, if I'm being honest, that stand out to me that one of them is Tanner Pearson. I think that guy has created a market for himself. And if the Canucks need to trade someone, they're able to get that money off the books, and that's $3.75 million right now, or for next year. Now, the question is there an issue for next season, or is it the season after?
Season after.
Right?
Because then it's Patterson, which is usually
Patterson, Hughes, and Demko all at once. And I guess let's go back to Adam's original question, Demko or Markstrom. And funny enough, I don't actually have an answer for you because there's two things. I guess there's two things you have to take into consideration. Number one, his cap hit, obviously. I think Daniel pretty much said it all for me in terms of, listen, this guy's going to want big money. I don't think there's a Bobrovsky contract waiting for him. I don't think there's a Bobrovsky contract waiting for anybody on the market right now.
No.
But I think there's going to be some big contracts handed out. I don't think Vancouver's willing to put out a contract like that, considering the flat cap and considering they have to sign these guys at the end of next year. The second thing is, are you willing to lose? If you sign Markstrom, are you willing to lose one of them at the end of next season when the expansion draft happens? And at that point, I'd imagine Demko's the one who's going to be exposed. Or you trade him beforehand. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Like, I'd imagine he's going to end up being exposed.
Yeah. And even if you do somehow trade him, then the goalie, you then have to bring in a goalie who will basically know that he is there to be, going exposed to Seattle.
Yeah.
So cap issues. Plenty of drama around the goalies. Vancouver got rid of their first last year to get a good player. They might have to give up another first to move a bad deal or two. This is a team in a much better position, and I'm not over the fact that they've been eliminated here. There is one question, and I think there is only one thing that Colorado need to figure out this year. They have the defense. They have the offense. Like, let's not even touch that stuff. What goalie are they going after? That's the question. Who's their goalie? Sorry, Grubauer, but you are the 1B again.
Well, here's where the issue comes. I think they're going to choose one of Grubauer or Francouz as their 1B. Now the question is, stop it. You just signed Pavel Francouz to a 2-year contract extension at $2 million. Mm-hmm. Grubauer has 1 year left at $3.33 million. Mm-hmm. Like, someone has to be traded. Like, one of them has to be traded, and you go out and make a signing.
Or right? Or because apparently they were in the map. They are one of the teams who have put a offer out for Matt Murray.
Okay, but I don't see why a goalie would be going the other way on the Matt Murray trade.
True.
You have Casey DeSmith. I'm just like you. And I guess that's a similar situation to the Phoenix Copley in Washington, and that's for another episode. But they have another goalie there. Like, I do think you make a trade to get rid of one of these goalies and then go out and sign someone. That's the only reason. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Do you think how urgent do you think it is for them to make this move, Daniel? Because another aspect, if we look at the Jake Allen trade, is it's getting ahead of the goalie market. Mm-hmm. Because at some point, that like there's going to be an odd man out. So if there is a trade, and I'd agree with you there, and like I feel bad for Francouz because like I think he really earned that deal in the regular season, and then just sort of fell apart when it came to.
He looked pretty inexperienced out there, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't look great. But the issue is Grubauer is a UFA after next year, right. So they need another contract, another like goalie with term to expose for Seattle. And has Grubauer really like earned that spot? Because in Washington he had the chance to be the starter, lost it. Yeah, he was hurt, but he still wasn't lights out during the regular. I still think there was questions around him, but I'll go a bit too much there. But Daniel, how like urgency do you think there is to really make a goaltending move?
I think that it really showed their weakness with this. That honestly, like Francouz with the term he has, if they could get another goalie, like Alex said, without throwing another goalie the other way, I wouldn't mind just placing this guy on waivers. To be honest, if you get a better Pavel Francouz,
really,
if you get a solid goalie this offseason.
They have the room to mess around.
It's like the Casey DeSmith. Like this guy, we thought he was going to be the backup, and then they put him on waivers.
You think that Pavel Francouz gets through waivers?
I don't think so.
That's the issue. You're going to give him like. I think there's a deal to be made like for Pavel Francouz. If you know that you're going to trade for another guy, you have to look at what the market is for Pavel Francouz.
I don't. I'm not like.
I just think that.
I'm not sold on the guy yet.
You can't make the deal right now because his value's at his lowest.
Absolutely.
Michael Hutchinson stole his job. Like, that's where Pavel Francouz is right now. Again, I like him, but he just lost his job.
I'll answer if you don't mind. I'll answer your question, Adam, if you don't mind. I don't think there's much urgency for Colorado to deal with their goaltending because I think they have good goaltending. It just screwed them over in the playoffs this year because both goalies went down with injuries. They put up 5 straight goals on against Dallas. Like they are able to outscore their problems when they have to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it necessarily benefits them to go make a huge signing during free agency. Like,
to be fair, they did lose that series in 10 seconds after allowing that quick. That was their season gone. 10 seconds.
yeah.
So, God damn it, Colorado. They'll be fine at the end of it.
Listen, like their bottom. You know what's crazy? You know what their bottom pairing could be next year?
Like Timmins and like
Byram.
Johnson. I don't know.
Timmins and Boehm Byram.
I know.
And there it is.
Plus they have.
coming.
Plus, you have to remember they have Shane Bowers coming out too, out of the Colorado Eagles.
You got to be careful though, because you can't just have two young guys on a pair.
I know.
Oh no, he's a forward. He's a forward. That like.
I'm sorry, I meant in
Like,
reference.
I know.
I'll
Yeah.
put like Ian Cole or something somewhere.
And Martin Kaut. They have Martin Kaut.
Yeah. Like I like Eric Johnson. I don't know. Like I don't think a lot of people say that, to be honest. But
No.
Cap hit's a bit too high.
I like he's solid, and like when he went down, that was a big hit.
Wasn't he
Yeah.
your first overall pick?
Yeah,
Like,
2006. Yeah, he was first overall. After that, it was Jordan Stahl and then Taves.
Was that the O'Reilly trade? Is how he ended up in
Eric Johnson? No, he got traded for Kevin Shattenkirk and Chris Stewart.
What? Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, and a second round pick, which
Yeah.
turned into Tyrell.
Oh yeah, and Jay McClement. We can't forget that. Leafs great Jay McClement.
Wait a minute. Wait. From Colorado, I mean, like Shattenkirk was a. I might. Hold
Yeah,
on.
he was a Colorado pick.
What?
Yeah, in 2007, 14th overall.
Huh. Oh, he played one season. Oh, well, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
remember he played in the youngsters game, and I was like, oh, "Wow, this guy's the future of the Avalanche blue line," and then he gets traded.
An embarrassment of riches. They're kind of like the new Nashville of just getting defensemen. All right, let's quickly look at our predictions. We all said Colorado would beat Dallas.
That was a
What?
close one.
It was, and then some no-name Finn ruined and broke all our hearts. The one game McKinnon doesn't get a point.
The silver lining is Corey Perry
No, it's not.
advances.
No, it's not. That's the worst thing. That's like being punched in the face. And then him falling over and the refs give him the call. It's ridiculous.
I thought you would support the Ducks fans on this show.
Anyway, we all said Tampa would beat Boston. I don't know if that was a more even keel take or if it was all of us rooting for Boston to lose. But we were right. Tampa Bay move on. Alex went with Philly. Daniel and I said the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
But I admit I went with the Islanders out of pure spite. Luckily, I was right. And then I said the Canucks trying to jinx them, so I was right there. And you guys went with Vegas, so technically we all won there. So we'll do a quick little preview here of the conference finals. We'll start with the East, guys. And, man, if this
Oh,
the New York Islanders, led by Barry Trotz, Matt
Adam,
Barzal.
you cut out there, man. Just to let you know. So,
Oh, my connection is unstable. What did you hear me say?
I just heard the New York Islanders after like a huge pause.
Oh, I said if there's ever been a clash of styles that the Tampa Bay Lightning have experienced, they're now seeing a sort of higher tier level of Columbus in the New York Islanders, led by
Yeah.
Barry Trotz. Matt Barzal, pretty good player. And Tampa are on a mission. They're back in the conference finals for the first time since 2018, I believe, against Washington, where they choked in Game 6 and 7. And then, guys, what do we think? How is this series going to go? We'll break it down a bit, then we'll give predictions. I'll start with you, Alex. The New York Islanders. Screw it. No, they're going to win. I'm going to say it right now. They're going to win.
Are you trying to jinx it, or do you actually want them to win? Do you want the downfall of hockey? Do you want the dead puck era to return?
Okay, I think
The trap system era.
I think you're being a bit harsh with this take about how
I'm
everyone's
most definitely
confident.
not. Adam, it's a copycat league. You know it. Everyone knows it. And that's just how it works. If they win the cup, that's what's going to happen.
Okay,
When the Capitals won when did they win
2018.
again? In
2018.
2018. After they won, everyone literally said we need to find an answer for Tom Wilson. Everyone, Sportsnet, TSN, Steve Simmons, the Toronto Star, the Toronto Sun, they all said we need an answer for Steve Simmons.
Yeah, well, screw the media.
Even the teams were looking for it.
Yeah, and they haven't ruined their. Okay, like, hold on a minute. Everyone's like, yo, 2011 Bruins. Well, yeah, look what happened when Vancouver copied them. It set their franchise back to today still. If you look
they still do it.
No, hold on a minute. Okay, so let's look at this for a second here. The entirety of hockey itself is moving. Like, this is more than just a game. Like, the highest, skill-based players, the best players in the world are getting younger and they're getting faster. If you're going to be idiots and go towards a defensive style, then you are going against the fabric of hockey and where it is going as itself. And the reason I'm going with the Islanders is because I think they are the best story in the playoffs right now.
Okay.
And I said this in a group chat. I can't remember if it was the one with you, Daniel, or the one with Mike.
Oh, I can break that one up.
So here's the problem that the Islanders face is that if they win the cup, they are not the story anymore, which does suck. It becomes instantly about the Leafs because of Tavares leaving.
Yeah, but let's clear this up. It's not the Leafs fans' fault that Toronto becomes the story.
No,
it's clearly the Islanders' fault. No, I want to clear that because everyone says it's all Toronto this and all Toronto that, and half the time it's literally the other team's fans bringing it up. I don't say garbage about half the time about other teams.
So and what I mean here is that everyone will – I think today Tavares was trending because the Islanders had made it to the conference final. And, like Sid 6-0 was joking about it. Everyone knew what they were doing. So if the Islanders win the cup, it will become pure Leafs memes of they lost, they suck, and Tavares is a loser for leaving. When what the story should be, and we should all encourage and try and promote here, is that this Islanders group that was being destroyed over the past few decades by Milbury, by Garth Snow, and people can tell me about whatever those guys were like in person all they want, but in hockey they did not do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden Lou Lamoriello comes in, he brings in Barry Trotz, and yes, he couldn't bring in Tavares. But you know what? And there were close calls. They almost signed Panarin. They almost lost Anders Lee. And some of the contracts are not great there. Now, if they win the cup, that doesn't matter. The story here should be that group lost an elite, one of the best players the Islanders have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And they have rallied around that and have committed wholeheartedly to this great system. They have great goaltending. That entire goalie staff is amazing. And here they are in the conference finals.
Is that still the story this year, though? It was a story last year. That wasn't even a question. There's no question about it. I don't think that's the story in the locker room anymore.
I still see it that way because it was they made it past the first. They beat the Penguins, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But then they lost. And it was important that they keep on it and they take that next step. And that's what they've done. And you know what?
How does that relate back to Tavares leaving, though?
Because you lose – you don't – you got to realize it's not easy. Imagine if Pittsburgh lost Crosby. I just think this word gets thrown around way too much in this sport. But the character shown by those guys to lose their captain and a player the level of John Tavares, who put that team on his back when they beat the Panthers a few years ago, is incredible to me. That those guys kept it. And a good few of those Islanders players played with Tavares. Barzell was only 1 year, but Letty was around. Matt Martin was around, and even he left when Tavares showed up, didn't he, with Toronto?
Yeah, and I think there too is just kind of the quality they get out of these guys that, they're not Tavares level, but they've been able to kind of just fit into that system. Well, I know I joke about it, but I think, it's true. Brock Nelson, he's been there since 2010, and he just fits that mold of that quality center you could put anywhere, or, he a forward somewhere. And, Pajot playing, sometimes he starts on the third line, but he's still playing center.
Oh, yeah. Jordan Eberle, the outcast of the Islanders. There's just so many good little stories about them. And I don't want it to be about Leaf captain Tavares who left. I want to make it that the Islanders captain John Tavares left that team, and they bounced back incredibly. And it's just not going to be that. And then you have Tampa, who are like just wicked good.
I
And
think Tampa.
arguably win.
In my opinion, I think Tampa takes this.
Okay.
I think there have been too many lessons already of them facing these types of teams that play that defensive style. That I think they're experienced enough now to get around it. Like they know how to adjust. They're not the Flyers. They actually have offense that shows up every night.
Yeah.
I think they could get around.
They don't look like the same team as last year that lost to Columbus.
No.
They don't. They look like they looked like the 62 win team that played that last year. They look that dominant. They made Boston look silly. And I understand Boston wasn't on top of their game. And I understand they didn't have Tuukka Rask. And I would be surprised if David Pastrnak is still injured.
Yeah, he's from the moment the playoffs started, there was just something so wrong with him. Here's the big – I'm gonna direct this towards you here, Alex, because I know he's on your fantasy team. Where is Steven Stamkos? Will he come back?
I don't know. I'm so upset. Listen, I read the reports. I heard the reports. I swear I heard he was coming back round one. And then I kept reading he was still rehabbing. I'm like, damn it. Just come back already. I'd like your fantasy points, Mr. Stamkos.
Oh, Steven. If they win without him, that is amazing.
If they win without him, there's gonna be trade rumors. I guarantee it. I guarantee
I can already know it.
Will Steven Stamkos get his name on the cup?
Yeah, because he played during the regular season.
Okay, good. I'm happy that we can agree on that. Okay, so final predictions. Daniel, you said you're in Tampa. I'll go New York. Alex, who are you going to go with?
I'll go Tampa as well.
All right.
I'll say 6 games.
Alex and Daniel. Okay, Daniel, you're saying Tampa in 6?
I think this one's going to 7.
Alex says Tampa in 7? Sorry?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the Islanders win in 6.
Okay.
I was going to say 5, but I'm like, no, I don't know, do that. All right, we'll look at the other series here, and it has to do with another sort of boring defensive team, but they've been scoring, even though if it was on a very down Hutchinson and a very down Francis versus you can make the argument as the most complete team in this playoffs, and oh boy, is Shea Theodore good, Daniel. Vegas, Dallas, guys. How do we feel about this series? Here you go. Whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vegas. I just love the team. I think they could do this in 5 or 6, just based on the consistency of the team. And I think that under crunch time, they've kind of proved that they could work as a unit. Everyone's kind of doing their job. Yeah, like we talked about, like Shea Theodore, he's amazing. Nate Schmidt, he's there. They really form a really good structure to that lineup. And, like their goaltending too. Like, I think that it's deeper than Dallas. I know we've joked about it before, but, Robin Leonard, he hasn't missed step. Margaret J. Fleury's ready. He's played already in the playoffs. So, yeah, this team's too good. Like, the nostalgia heartstrings are there for Corey Perry for me. But I really think that, Dallas is playing above their level. They're not this consistent. They haven't seen it in the Sagan Ben era too much, and I think that this is a series where I think it kind of dries up now.
Okay, and you're saying 5 or 6. Sorry.
Yeah.
Give me 5 or 6 though. Let's just give it a solid.
I'll say 5. We always say 6 or 7.
All right, Alex, your take on this series?
Yeah, I go Vegas as well. I think I'll say Vegas in 6. I think I said it on the podcast before. I think that Vegas is the deepest forward team in the West. I think they're the deepest goaltending, have the deepest goaltending depth in the West. And the only thing I think maybe Dallas has over them is defense. But I even think towards that Vegas has the better defense core than Dallas. Like, I know Heiskanen and Klingberg, but They have lots of guys on Vegas. And I think we talked about him earlier. Mark Stone. That guy's an absolute beast. Like Vegas has all these guys, and it's just going to be punch after punch after punch after punch. And I don't know if Dallas, yes, they've had it against David Riddick and Cam Talbot, and they've had it against Pavel Francouz and Michael Hutchinson. But will they have the same punch against Robin Lehner?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the answer is yes. And therefore, my answer is the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
All right.
I'm gonna buy a hat for them if they win.
I can tell that Adam's just gonna say Dallas. I just have this weird feeling he's gonna say Dallas because I can tell by the smirk on his face.
That or another trade happened mid-episode. I don't know.
No. Guys, there's only one thing I have to say to you guys. Yoel Kiviranta is real. I'm going to say he's kind of like Ryan Poehling. He's just like, hey, and he's never going to do anything ever again. Watch.
Yeah. That's so condescending.
He's not. He eliminated McKinnon. I won't have it. I'm going to go with Dallas.
Wow.
The reason I'm going to go with Dallas is this. I don't want Pacioretty to win a cup. That's
okay.
I love Leonard, but man, I just don't.
This is a weird dynamic of things. I remember 2006 conference finals. The Oilers eliminated the last Mighty Ducks team. I remember that, and I vowed to never be a Chris Pronger fan until next season. But what happened there was like, I don't know. I could never go for Edmonton after that. Like ever since that moment in my childhood, I have never gone for the Oilers. So I'm surprised that you're going for Dallas after they eliminated Colorado.
Well, it's not like they eliminated Montreal. It's a bit different. I just don't want it's annoying to see Pacioretty play well in playoffs because it's like, man, you never did that for Montreal.
So I just laughing at the hanger. I'm going to put it in your shirt.
It's another one piece.
If you guys want to see this quality content of the hanger and the shirt, please check the YouTube channel.
Yeah, why not? It's another one-piece shirt. And then go watch Monza. Go watch the Italian. I'm going to rewatch it when we're done because that was mint. Like, absolute mint.
I don't went to Formula 1. Yeah, okay.
Ooh.
So, Adam, how many games for Dallas?
7.
7, okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to say that the game-winning goal in Game 7 is going to go to Jamie Benn because I consistently say he's overrated. So that's going to happen. And it's going to be the most beautiful goal you've ever seen. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
Daniel, you did a really good job of doing the outro. We have to hang out for it.
Wait, before we go. Adam, why won't the Celtics win in 6?
Man, I'll tell you.
The newfound love of basketball.
I know.
We're going to make this the preview. Well, guys, as I am a basketball expert and I know what a triple-double is, here's what I'm going to tell you guys.
What is a triple-double?
I don't know. What is it?
Oh.
What's a triple-double?
Okay, so you know how they have stat lines?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you get 10 or more in 3 stat lines. I think generally it's like points, assists,
rebounds, or blocks.
Steals.
Oh, okay.
Triple-double.
A triple-double.
A double.
Yeah.
You get a double in 3 separate categories.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I trust that. Okay, so here's why the Celtics are not going to win this series.
Okay.
Because the Raptors, they have character.
Oh, okay.
Listen, they are – should I just say what my tweet was last night?
Go ahead.
So, like, some Toronto-based sports teams would let fold under the pressure of a 2-0 series deficit. But the Raptors, luckily, are not the Leafs. But then Alex very much corrected me and said, no, the Leafs would go up and then give hope to their fans to only choke it away.
Exactly.
How do you say his name? OG Anunoby?
OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby.
Yeah.
He's good. Siakam was sinking threes when I was watching. Kyle Lowry is the best. I mean, like, who did the Celtics have? That Tatum guy? I heard he's
Tatum,
He's good.
Kemba Walker.
He's a rising star, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, well, he's no Pascal. So suck it. And then, I was like, hey, lads, I'm just going to give my serious prediction because Donald gave a random hockey one. And I'm like, yo, the Clippers. And I didn't even know. Like, I forgot that that's where Kawhi was. Yeah. And then, Will sent me some stats like, it's probably not the prediction to make. And
sometimes I feel like we throw names out here. They're like, yeah, Will, Donald, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
And then we never really introduced Donald to the show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've talked about Donald on the show.
He goes for our program, and he's also he does the eye opener stuff. I think he also does the airball.com stuff with with Will as well.
I believe so.
Yeah, and he said Vegas were going to win the cup because they had a really cool name. And it's I guess. Well, at this point, it's 25%, so that's not bad.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
So the Celtics won't win because they don't have character, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm a real hockey.
Just to be clear, that's where we're going.
Also, I'm really annoyed with Marcus Smart. I don't know.
Who?
Marcus Smart. It's just so many. He's like the Brad Marchand
he's
right
the
now.
Starting shooting guard.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say okay.
Like he's like he chirps everybody. He tries to draw fouls.
By the way,
but he doesn't show it.
Milwaukee are going to get swept, by the way, and Giannis is coming back. It's not coming back.
He's coming
home.
To
the Raptors. He is.
Oh.
I was really funny. I was watching. It was like the TNT broadcast, and it was like someone asked, what do you think of these spots that were like passable landing spots for Giannis? And one of the things were Toronto.
Yeah.
And one of the commentators were just like, I don't know if this is agents or something, but I don't hear any validity to this. And I was like, man.
They don't like Toronto.
No, it's so weird.
Forever an underdog.
Wait, tell me. Okay, you watched the TNT. That's the one with Shaq, Charles Barkley,
and Kenny.
What was even going on that broadcast?
What was who's the other basketball guy? Why isn't his name coming to me? Is Kenny Smith on that one as well?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Kenny the Jet Smith.
I think Shaq was there, but I don't remember seeing Charles Barkley.
Okay,
I don't know. They had a really big screen behind them.
There's no way.
Oh, Ernie Johnson.
Ernie Johnson. There's no way hockey could ever have something like that. That's by far the coolest thing. That show is so much cooler than anything hockey has ever produced.
Wait, if they have to do a panel and they have someone like Shaq, they have Zdeno Chara on the panel?
Someone with some actual personality. I love Kevin Bieksa.
Yeah.
Kevin Bieksa and Anthony Stewart. I love those guys.
You know who's underrated?
Okay,
but they don't have no Shaq. They don't got no Shaq. Okay.
You know who's actually really underrated in interviews, and I could see him on a talk show? Chris Pronger. He's really good.
Luxury airline stuff.
I know, but I recently heard him on PK Subban's podcast, and he's amazing. He's an amazing interviewee.
You know who needs to be on an unfiltered podcast? Scott Gomez. Have you ever listened to an interview of that guy? Oh my God. It is spectacular.
It's crazy. He was a Lou Lamoriello pick too. It's amazing. He brought that guy back 3 times to New Jersey.
You should hear the story of when he asked for a trade. Oh.
You think Lamoriello just sucks the personality from his players and he'll never die because it keeps him alive?
I think so.
I mean, he has these expectations that I think it's it's well respected, the high numbers or the mustaches.
You're not allowed to have high numbers. You're not allowed to have facial hair.
You're not
Lou.
You're not allowed to accept a contract of your market value.
My bad. My bad, Lou.
You know what? I know people are kind of silly. There's some stuff with Lou I don't agree with. But I really like I don't know why it is. Because I'd say I couldn't stand watching that TNT broadcast. Maybe I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. And you guys know me. I don't give a crap about the hits and that. I like my skill. But I just really like the look of a nice, clean cut, clean shaved, nice suit kind of look. You know what? It's just, that's just me. I just really like that stuff. I love listening to, Ron McClain. I love Elliot. I don't
Yeah,
like
I mean, like
Stewie as
not
much.
quarantine Elliot, at the beginning.
So you
Not-
don't like spin. So you don't like spin chicklets. No. Yeah.
I can only listen to them for like I can't really do it. Like listen, I'm not like making fun of them. Like great success. I'm so happy for you. It's just not my cup of tea.
It's not your brand.
No, it's not. I like my I would 10 out of 10 love to talk about Blue Ice with Jeff Merrick than watch Shaq eat a spicy chip. That's just me though. It's just that's what I like in my sports. Like, and you like Stewart a lot more than I do because
I think
Stewie's not bad.
No,
but
it's
the
just,
extra is just
it's not that. I just think he has so much more personality than so many other guys on a broadcast.
You know who I like on Sportsnet a lot, but like I go back and forth, but then I remember he's just such a genuine person. I like Kelly Hrudey. Though, like, when you make a bigger deal of somebody patting a goalie on the head than someone getting their jaw broken, I get a little annoyed with you.
It's a goalie thing, though. You know, it's a goalie
Yeah.
union thing. You know the secret goalie union. You haven't heard of that?
Sorry, you sucked in the '90s, bro. It's a different game.
I don't know about
how
that.
was 1993? Yeah, you lost. Suck it. I like you, Kelly. He did a lot of
That's like, why do you keep saying that on this episode?
I don't know
No,
if he sucked.
No, I like Kelly a lot. He does a lot of mental health stuff, which is really cool. It's just, he patted him on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
The goalie union, man.
I know.
You're not allowed to bash goalies, okay? Just part of the union.
No.
Happened if
sorry.
Carey Price got patted on the head.
Man,
That's a different story.
do you want to imagine what Shea Weber would do to someone who touched Price like that? They would die. He'd break their bone. Shea Weber would not hold back.
I remember 2006, Ryan Smith did something where he put his glove on Giguère's on the cage when he iced the puck already, and then it was Giguère that himself is the one who went after Ryan Smith.
Goalies are weird, man. They are the weirdest things ever. Find me a position in sports that is more strange than a goalie.
Oh, pitchers.
Are they?
Yeah, they're playing their rituals, and it's just they just do some weird stuff.
Sounds like a goalie.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, guys, this was a good episode.
Yeah. You can do the outro.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this, please check it out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Check out our social media. We're fun, we promise. We have random threads on Twitter now, apparently. But it's really encouraging me to be more active on that now. I'm not just liking or retweeting anymore. Yeah, check out Adam's own videos. Check out Alex's own. Was it his blog?
Oh yeah.
Still going on. I like the content. Thank you for the follow back, and yeah, we love our listeners. We hope to expand this more. We're all going back to school soon, so we're gonna have to figure out a new schedule, or maybe stick a new one.
Yeah.
I know I'm the one that's still kind of holding out.
Hey,
with the scheduling.
If anyone from Ryerson administration is just happening to be listening to this podcast, can you give Daniel his schedule? Okay.
Yeah, your schedule's hilarious.
If you're someone from the Ryersonian listening to this podcast, give Daniel a schedule. Please.
Yo, by the way, listeners, the next episode's my last one for a few weeks, so
you're stuck with Daniel and I. That's pretty much what he's saying.
Yeah.
maybe the lads will bring Mike in. I don't know.
Bring Mike. I don't know.
for
Bring
us.
Donald.
Like I said, next time Mike is on, 6-hour episode, baby.
Or we'll bring Vegas Golden Knight fanatic Donald.
Hey, maybe we really need to get Donald and Will on. We need to one day. What we should try and do is just get all 5 of us, and it would be a complete crapshoot. It would.
Yeah, we're all gonna interrupt each other.
Oh yeah. And I just want Will and I really want Will and Mike to just have a back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could single-handedly ruin the eye-opener space.
Wow. Okay.
I can just see Mike saying something, and then it's just back and forth.
All right.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to set the world on fire, guys.
I kind of do.
All right. Well, guys, this was fun. We'll have another episode. We'll make Adam's last episode before he has to go away for a bit a fun one. We'll
try.
We'll do it. We'll make it fun.
I will be
Love you
back.
guys.
They're not yelling me. They're not bringing me behind.
No, we're bringing you back. Don't worry.
It's like we're going
like
for
Robo.
the
It's like RoboCop.
I know.
What?
It's like RoboCop.
I'm not Arnie. You ruined the Mr. Freeze character.
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't RoboCop.
He's Terminator.
Yeah.
Oops.
Come on.
I'm like, what? Anyways, to our listeners, we love you. If you haven't subscribed already, please. If you did not leave us 5 stars, please tell us why, and we'll try to improve it. Thanks.